Working out to get the body you want sucks. And so, how's everybody doing? Welcome to episode 3 of I Want to Vent. This one's going to be a little bit more, I guess, introspective compared to the first two, for that matter. In this episode, we're going to touch on basically counting favors and secret animosity amongst friends. Now, let me rewind real quick to give you some background as to, I guess, why that bugs me in particular and why it's the cardinal sin of friendships in my instance. Friendship, it's either over after that or I don't look at you the same way. So for this particular episode, we're gonna touch on 3 instances from two friends of mine where I could have handled it completely different and it just went way left. So to back up, and I know I said I'll give the background. So to start, remember in the first episode I told you guys I had Haitian parents and they're very strict. My dad in particular. So some would say it's not fair that I don't want to say blame. I'm assigning all of the negative traits of myself as far as like short temper, just my raw, strong emotions to my father. And I'd say they didn't really live with him. They didn't live in our household, so they didn't know what that was like. So just real quick story. When I was, I want to say 6 or 7 years old, I recognized I don't know if they were friends or not, but I recognized someone who my father, talked to quite often and was always around. So I went to the library one day because, again, we're dirt poor. We don't have a computer at home. We don't have a printer at home, none of that. So anytime like I had to do an assignment, I had to go to the public library, put money to print, that sort of deal. So one day I went to the library and I had to, type of like, I think it was a book report or I don't know. I had to look something up and it was due, it was due the following week, or again, that part is not important. So there were some things I wanted to print out, but my balance was out. And back in the day, this is Brooklyn Public Library, you had to, like I mentioned, put money to print. Now, my balance was 0, and I saw, said person who my father, would talk to, crack jokes with, whatever. And I asked him for $1 because I figured, what, instead of like wasting my time going back home, getting money, whatever. Actually, I think I was older than 7. I might have been like 9 or 10. But anywho, so I didn't want to go back home, all the way back home. It was like 20 blocks and the library was closed in like 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, let me just ask. So I asked him, and the guy gave me $1, and I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, all right, no problem. I want to say a week later, my father, came in, and he was like, hey, I want to talk to you. Came in and came home. He was the super of the building, so after I guess his shift was over, he came home and it's like, I want to talk to you in Creole, right? Et Vinjouenoué. Whoever's listening to this and speaks Creole, based on the tone, you can already tell how that went. So he slaps me across the head. He's like, don't you ever ask anybody for anything, nothing at all. Like, nothing. So that stuck with me. And anybody who's close to me or, has like known me in good enough detail knows that if I if I ask for help, it takes a lot for me to do that. Now, I give you that background to fast forward to 2017. Now, 2017 was the year I, stopped working. I had taken basically the year off from work, and I was, just trying to live life. Catching up on the parties I was missing out when I couldn't make it because I was working retail, and how that goes with weekends. You're always working, closing, opening, mid shift, whatever. So you don't really have the energy, the time, and then when you do have the time, you sometimes don't have the energy to go out with your friends and party. So I'm like, all right, let me make up for lost time. Sorry, tongue twist. One day on Xbox Live Chat, we were arguing Kobe and LeBron, I believe. It was a group of us. We're on Xbox Live. We were arguing Kobe and LeBron, whatever. And one of our friends who basically, and I told this to him, one of my issues with him is he doesn't know when to chill. He kept going, and I kind of antagonized him. And the situation escalated within a blink of an eye. I wouldn't let him talk when he wanted to get his takes off because I felt it was repetitive or whatever the case may be. And then it just turned into a full-blown argument. We were talking about, it became basically a dick swinging contest. And we were just exchanging low blows while everybody else in the group chat on Xbox Live was silent. Right, it was just I'm better than you. I make more money than you. That kind of thing. And after that dust up, we ended up working out together. But you can just tell, like, that incident kind of frayed our friendship or acquaintance, however you want to frame it, right? So then fast forward to the end of 2019, early, New Year's 2020, right? Before COVID, basically it was a different time in the world. One of my friends, this is the second person. So one of my other friends, who I wouldn't, mind, helping out if I can, and vice versa. Like when I was going to get grad school, and there would be times where I wasn't sure of myself, he'd always be like, "Oh, you got this, bro. Keep pushing it. You're looking to get your second degree, right? And so you may not be making money right now, but you will in the future." So he always had instilled that reminder in myself to just know that it will get better. So for that, I always looked at him a certain way, right? And I still do to this day. We're still cool. So New Year's Eve came, partied with him, always, helping out wherever I can. I'm always the most punctual person to the party. And, I showed up on time. He had a VIP, obviously, it was his thing. We had rosé, we had Henny, we had Patron. I think we had Casamigos. This was before it was, blown up to the extent that it is today, but we had two Casamigos. All in all, it was a good night. I got super drunk and we went to a diner, whatever. Now, come my birthday comes around on the weekend. So my birthday's February 1st, but I had taken off from like January 29th to I think February 3rd from work or something like that. Again, it's like foggy now. So I had taken that time off of work and I determined I was going to go to Toronto, right? So he had asked me like, hey, I need to borrow so-and-so because of whatever my situation. And I had no problem with him. I just told him like, hey, I don't mind, lending money or whatever. As long, like, I don't care. Like, when you pay me back, as long, like, with the exception of my birthday weekend, because some can say, oh, you're being petty or da-da-da-da. I feel that I've never explained this to anybody, but I feel that because I was born a month, before I was supposed to, so not only that, but I was born via C-section and stuff like that. I'm lucky to be alive. So around my birthday, I take that very seriously. So just told him like, hey, basically around my birthday, that's me time. That's me, right? So check it. Birthday comes, and I told him like, hey, on XYZ, we need it back because of I'm traveling, going out to eat, whatever. I'm in Toronto by myself, but having a good time. Long story short, looking back, I could have handled it way better than I did. I had requested the money on Cash App because he didn't, give it to me when told him to, and that led to, you can sense the tension. So when I came back, like I believe it was a Monday, so Monday or Sunday, whenever I came back. So I came back and, in Pittsburgh. So I went out and I got one of my favorite bartenders, like a small Hennessy XO. So I posted on my story and he saw it and it turned into a whole thing like, oh, don't ask me for whatever. If you're just gonna be spending it on, XYZ. And I'm like, well, it's my money and I can ask for it whenever. So it turned from lighthearted to, I guess, I was a little drunk at the time. I guess he doesn't know this, but he will now if he watches this video. I was a little drunk. So I took the text like on IG the wrong way, and I just went off. And then we didn't really talk. Really, like to be honest with you, we didn't really like. We don't have the type of rapport where we're talking every day or whatever. But we didn't really talk for some time after that because I went to DC. He asked like, yo, which hotel you at, because I was like at a rooftop party at the Eaton Hotel in DC, and told him that, but we didn't really talk after that because, again, going back to the whole situation with my father when I was young about whatever. So I take you throwing favors in my face very seriously, right? Now fast forward to this year, a few months ago. I had made a comment on Facebook under a chick's Facebook post, and we're all in a group chat. So one of them took a picture, right? Oh, and before I start this, me and the other person who I described the second event were cool. There's no animosity. That's the bro. There's no nothing. There's no malicious intent there. It was just, he doesn't know this. Nobody really knows this about me because I don't really tell people that side of me. I don't really open up to people about, how I take counting favors and throwing that in your face very seriously. So anywho, fast forward to the second incident with the first person, who we're no longer friends anymore. But I made the comment on Facebook under a girl's post, and I wrote like solid with the hammer arm emoji, right? And I'm the type to give you leeway, to give you whatever, like if we cracking jokes, we cracking jokes. Oh, excuse me. But I feel like at a certain point, it's like, all right, my guy, like, all right, you had your fun, whatever. Like, it's getting old now. So that's basically how I approach things. And like a couple of my friends, they know this. But I guess he didn't. And again, it goes back to me telling him like, hey, my issue with you is I don't feel like you know how to chill, basically, right? So I'm very big, like, time and place person. Like, all right, jokes have their expiration date, right? At least when you're dealing with me. So I'm going for weeks. Every time something would come up in the group chat, the person would write solid with the hammer arm emoji for like things that didn't have anything to do with whatever we're talking about. So one day I just got annoyed, like very ticked off. And again, for this part, I was 100% in the wrong. And after the situation blew up, And a couple of weeks after, I called him to apologize because, again, I should have never brought his ex into it. So I wrote, solid like XYZ, and that just escalated it. Because at that point, I just didn't really care, right? It was just like, okay, whatever. So then it just became a whole dust up about like, oh, you talk to me one way, but this is how you really feel because I got word. I guess word got back to him that I said something like negative about like something he brought to my attention, like an opportunity brought to my attention that I didn't want to, I guess, partake. And it just went downhill from there. So like I said, we're no longer friends. It just became, again, an exchange of low blows. And I played a huge role in escalating it to where it got to. So for that, I take full, accountability. I take full responsibility for my part that I played into that. But, I guess when you grow old, and this is something I learned on my own, like not all of your friends can mix, right? What I mean by that is I feel like I can tell like some of my friends XYZ about certain aspects of my life, and then I can speak to others about certain different aspects, right? I don't tell all of my friends, every single one of my friends, everything about me because I feel like, people take things, differently. There's varying levels of interpretation and just like the rapport you have. So certain things you can talk, certain things you can't really talk to your friends with about like whatever. So to make it short, we're no longer friends. I did reach out because again, it should have never escalated to the point that it did. I should have just said, like, yo, bro, you dragging it. Like, it's been a month now. Like, give it up. Like, you dragging it. I should have taken that approach rather than, bringing his ex into the ordeal when she had nothing to do with it, right? And, whatever, like where it escalated. But I, at that point, I just didn't see the point in having that friendship anymore. It was just like, okay, game over. And he brought up like, oh, I'm a person who shows love, but, people have like basically secret animosity and agendas. And I looked at it, I thought about what he said. And it wasn't the fact that, there was secret animosity. I just felt like, okay, we outgrow each other, right? We're not meant to be in each other's lives in a certain way, not moving forward. There's a point in time, like there's certain points in life you reach where everybody can't go with you. And unfortunately, it ended the way it ended. I feel like if it didn't happen there, it probably would have happened in some other fashion. But, the compatibility-wise friendship on a friendship level, just, I guess, was no longer there. And, moving forward, we'll look to, handle conflict a little bit better than I have in the past. So I know it wasn't as, quirky of an episode, but I felt like this was necessary because I think all of us on some level, like have gone through this in the past. So, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so when I go live, when the episode drops. And you guys don't know you guys kind of do, how much that helps me out. And again, like I said, it's all me right now, trying to grow this channel, trying to build the brand of, I guess, whatever you want to make it, whether it's self-improvement or whatever you want to make it. So again, next episode we're going to touch on accountability a little bit more, or it may be something else, right? We'll see. So thank you for tuning in to the third episode, counting favors and secret animosity among friends. I feel like that's not talked about enough. And with that being said, till next time, again, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll also post the links in the description to the previous videos, as well as at the end of the video. Just click on that if you wanted to watch the first 2 episodes, just so you get a further background of what this is. And again, this is I Want to Vent, and I'm going to stop talking now because I'm rambling. Take care, guys.